today we have Mr. Arunabh Sinha, CEO and founder of UClean, as guest speaker, who will share his inside expertise and strategy for navigating the challenges and seizing the opportunity in the franchising domain. As we dive into the discussion ranging from how franchising can help in global market, importance of franchising, franchisee versus dealership, advantages of startup and for MSMEs, risk in franchisee business, success ratio through franchising. I encourage you to actively engage, ask questions, and take advantage of this platform. The exchange of ideas and experiences is invaluable, especially in a dynamic field like startups and MSMEs. Before we begin, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Franchise India Group, whose support has made this session possible. Their dedication to promoting entrepreneurship deserves recognition. Without further delay, let's kick off this session and embark on a journey of discovery, learning, and inspiration. Together, let's explore the pathway to success in the world of franchising. Now, without wasting any time, I would like to invite our guest, Mr. Arunabh Sinha.
Hi, Akshajit. Thank you so much for this exciting opportunity and looking forward to the next 30 minutes of our conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today and take out the time from your busy schedule. And I am very much sure that today's session is really beneficial for the lots of startups and the MSME players, those would like to grow their business in a rapid form, because franchising is the way to grow your business rapidly. Now over to you, sir. I would like to start this session with please introduce yourself. Tell me about your journey, how you start the your uClean journey, and the idea comes from. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akshajit. And for the uninitiated, UClean is India's largest laundry and dry cleaning chain. And we work on the franchising model. So what we do is we partner with micro entrepreneurs in different neighborhoods of India, in different cities, districts, small towns of the country. We partner with micro entrepreneurs who generally are living in those neighborhoods and who have a very solid understanding of consumer behavior in their neighborhood. We partner with them, we enable them, we equip them, and ultimately we empower them to start their own journey as a franchisee of UClean. So UClean as a business, we started this in January 2017 when we launched our first outlet in Vasant Kunj area of Delhi. And then over the next few months, we launched a couple of more outlets in Noida and Gurgaon. Now, these three outlets, they basically helped us understand the business of laundry, what the consumer is expecting, what are the kind of challenges that we could potentially foresee. We developed systems, we developed processes, we developed a technology. So if you look at laundry industry, it's not a new industry. Laundry industry has existed since the beginning of time, since the beginning of civilization. In India in particular, the industry, because of the size of the country, is a massive industry, which is about 30-40 billion dollars in size. But till about 2016, before we embarked on this journey, the industry was almost 99.9% unorganized or controlled by the local dhobis. And while they've done a phenomenal job in building the industry, and they're literally the atlas on whose shoulders this industry rests, but the industry itself suffered because typically the dhobis would lack training, they would lack professionalism, they won't have a fair understanding of technology. So with UClean, we wanted to bridge that gap. We wanted to introduce technology, we wanted to introduce systems, processes, but most importantly, we wanted to leverage micro entrepreneurship or franchising as a tool to take this business far and wide. So after the first few months of incubating UClean, running our first few outlets, building the systems and processes, we realized that this business is now in a shape where we can actually start franchising it. We can start partnering with micro entrepreneurs and helping them start their own journey. So towards the end of 2017 is when technically the franchising journey of Uclean started, with our first couple of outlets in Pune and Hyderabad. And then over the next 6-7 years, we have continued to grow. Obviously, there was a full stop that happened somewhere in 2020 when the entire country, entire world was struggling with COVID. So for those 2 years, we literally had zero growth. But post-COVID, I would say the industry and micro entrepreneurship has rebounded with a vengeance. And that is why Uclean has also grown phenomenally well. So as of now, we are about 525 franchise partners across 155 neighborhoods of India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. And we are looking forward to further growing this, looking forward to growing this exponentially as the demand for laundry services and the demand for micro entrepreneurship in India is building up.
Great, sir. Your story is really inspiring means to me as well, and several others youngster from India and from other part of the country. Those are viewing us live now, and I am very happy to see that our live score is increasing rapidly. So, and I request all our viewers to post your questions or query in a comment box so that we can take up all the questions and query in the end of the session. And now I continue, me sir, as you say that in only 6 year of short time, you grow, open around to 150 stores.
155 cities,
155 cities,
500 plus stores.
500 plus stores. So, sir, my means as a being a new entrepreneur who is entering into the business. So, what attract you for starting the franchising of your business? So, for them, they can means they can also come into that franchising segment.
So I think I have been in the franchising industry for more than a decade now. I have started up a franchising business in the past, exited that business. And what I've learned is that franchising works very well in models that are technically what I would call idiot proof. So that is the reason why you would see that in celebrity chef restaurant businesses, franchising typically doesn't work. So without naming the celebrity chef, but we have a couple of very famous celebrity chefs in India who tried to create a franchise model. But the problem was that the people used to go to the restaurant because the celebrity chef was himself cooking. Now, the moment you start creating a lot of clones of your celebrity chef restaurant, you personally cannot be present at all those restaurants. So naturally, the same taste, the same consistency cannot be delivered. And that is why concepts like celebrity chef restaurants generally do not do well at franchising. Now, when I say idiot proof, what I mean by that is there should be a mechanism to automate or to make the process largely dependent on machines. And if you're able to do that, then the model becomes more or less idiot proof and an ideal candidate for franchising. So when we started Uclean from the very beginning, I could sense that this is one business where a majority of the process is controlled by the machine. So you have this laundry machine that is already pre-programmed. All you need to do is put the clothes inside the machine, set the program, and the machine will do the job itself. So every time with the same consistency, all you need to do is put the clothes inside the machine, do the programming, and the machine itself will decide how much detergent to pull in, how much water to pull in, how many rotations of the drum should be there. So all that is automated. Hence, the opportunity for someone to actually influence the process is very, very low. And that is why I felt that laundry is one business where you can franchise because it's a largely automated process. And to any young entrepreneur who is running a business and who is looking at potentially franchising his business, I would say that they need to first focus on automating as much of the business as possible. Obviously, there is an entrepreneur who is going to take up your franchisee. You have to give him some creative liberties. But as long as you're able to automate, say, 70-75% of your business, that business should typically do well in franchising.
Okay. Means you are already given my second question's answer. which is means what are the steps before entering into the franchising for success? Because lots of people are saying that we are enter into the franchising model, but we didn't get any success, and we also lost our money. So for them, what are the key three tips you would like to add in this discussion so that they can rethink about the franchising and enter into the franchising model and get the success?
So I would always say there are two things or two large buckets that an entrepreneur needs to consider when he is deciding to franchise his brand or her brand. One is franchisability, which is what I was talking about, that for success in franchising, it is very, very important that your business should have a high level of automation, or your business is more or less an idiot proof business, so that when you're opening it or scaling it across various locations, your business's final performance should not be dependent on an individual's caliber to as much an extent as possible. So once that is figured out, and honestly, not all businesses would be franchisable. So it is very critical to understand whether your business is franchisable in the first place or not. If you genuinely believe that your business is franchisable, you can significantly automate it, then you come to the next part, which is franchise readiness. And this is where I've seen a lot of people, they get excited because they believe that their business model is franchisable and hence they should jump into franchising. Having a model that is franchisable and being franchise ready are two very different things. So whenever you're selling your franchise to someone, you have to also understand that in majority of the cases, that person would not be from a similar industry or a similar background. As an example, in Uclean, if I do a number crunching, I am 100% sure that we would realize almost 99% of our franchise partners have no prior background of the cleaning industry. So you have to, I would say, always de-technicalize your business, make it very, very simple so that anyone who takes your franchise can easily understand how to run the franchisee. So it could be developing standard operating procedures, operations manual, creating a technology system which can be easily accessed by your franchise partners, easily understood by your franchise partners. And very importantly, I would say the test should always be that can I be sitting in one location of the world, give out a franchisee to someone who is sitting in absolutely different location of the world and allow him to run that business without my physical involvement. If you're able to do that, then you are absolutely franchise ready. And that is when you should jump into franchising.
My next question is that uh, means how the person can decide the franchising which model is suitable for franchising his business, so he can also go for the mentorship. Mentorship is important in this process to
I
know
think it,
the fit means right model for your business for franchising and how you can start the franchising.
I think absolutely yes, especially for people who don't have any prior background in the franchising industry. It always helps to have a mentor who has been there and done that. Somebody who understands franchising inside out, somebody who has potentially run a franchise brand, grown it to a certain level. That person, because he has made a lot of mistakes in the past. I think the biggest advantage of franchising is why someone should take up a franchisee is because that franchisor or the brand has in the past done a lot of mistakes, learned from those mistakes, did a lot of iterations on their business model, and then only is franchising. So he is actually helping you avoid the mistakes that he has done in the past. And that is why I strongly believe that it as a brand, if you're looking to venture into franchising, it will help you a lot to have a mentor in place who has been there, done that, has done their mistakes, learned from their mistakes, iterated their business model, and understands largely what it takes to be successful when you're franchising. So absolutely yes.
Okay. So, my next question is, what is your advice for the small and medium capital investors who want to start their own business?
So I think obviously we are going through very interesting times. And when I say interesting, there are a lot of things happening in the world right now. And I have, especially from my Uclean experience, what we have seen is that in the last 1.5 to 2 years, the urge to become an entrepreneur has increased significantly in India. So whether it is because of the social media glamour that entrepreneurs are getting, or because of the validation that people are getting from their friends and peers, or also one of the very significant factors that has influenced franchising is that there are a lot of job cuts that are happening in India right now. So whether you talk about Facebook, Google, Byju's, a lot of companies are firing people in mass. And suddenly the safety net that people used to associate with jobs has gone. Now jobs have suddenly become as risky as starting your own business. And a lot of people have started feeling that if I have to give it my all and still be worried about the risk, then why not do it for myself? So why not start a business rather than doing it for someone else as an employee? So I think my simple piece of advice is if you're looking to start your own business, and if you want to start up on your own, then you really need to be committed. You need to have a lot of funds in place because you're going to make some very expensive mistakes. Correcting those mistakes will cost you a lot of money. So either you should be someone that is heavily funded, that is going to go all in, that you're not someone that will be disheartened by the failures that will keep coming your way, or alternatively, use franchising as a shortcut to get your first taste of entrepreneurship. Because with franchising, you have a mentor, which is the brand. Somebody who's going to handhold you, somebody who's going to advise you, somebody who has made a lot of mistakes in the past and who can teach you on how to avoid those mistakes. Once you have successfully run a franchise model, you have understood the kind of patience, the capital commitment, the energy commitment that is required in running your own business through the franchising route, then potentially you can maybe start up on your own, or maybe you can become a multi-unit franchise operator.
And I just would like to add on in your statement. Means in present scenario, especially post COVID, when we meeting with the interact with any of the individual, they say that he is looking for some second income. He is
Correct.
not he is not believe, means focus on only on his salary or his office job which he already run, because in COVID people are as you all said that people are lost their jobs, and in IT company mostly work from home culture is there. Now they are adopted, and they means reduce the manpower in their offices. So people are looking for the business opportunity, and in India basically the in current scenario the entrepreneurship is booming. Whatever be the, if means we are taking the example of Tank and all other several other platform like that, those are promoting the Indian entrepreneurship, and they are going for raising the fund over there. Venture, it's a VC circle platforms and all for raising the capital. So I guess franchising is the best option to invest money in a secure and tested business.
I agree. I think franchising is a fantastic platform and a fantastic learning ground. So if you are someone who is looking to eventually start up on your own, you don't have any prior background of starting up, you don't come from a family that has been traditionally into businesses, then I think franchising is the perfect bridge, because this is where you are an entrepreneur, but at the same time, you have a lot of guidance and hand holding, which ensures that you avoid some very costly mistakes. So you get a flavor of what entrepreneurship is all about. You get to understand the challenges of entrepreneurship, but at the same time, your expensive mistakes that could have potentially bankrupted you, you can actually avoid that because you have a brand that is hand holding you and guiding you. And once you have had the flavor and you have enjoyed being an entrepreneur as a franchise entrepreneur, then potentially you can also start up on your own.
Yes. So on behalf of thousands of investors, youth investors, I would like to ask some questions from you. So my first question is how they choose the right business franchisee for him or herself.
Okay. So while obviously there are multiple factors that you need to consider. One is your investment appetite. So for example, if my investment appetite is say about 25 lakhs, I can stretch to 30 lakhs, 35 lakhs. I cannot start a club. So while I might be very passionate about starting a club, but any good club in India would entail an investment of anywhere between 1.5 to 2 crores. So obviously, first advice is do not bite more than you can chew. So you do not want to, when your appetite is 30 lakhs, you should not take the risk of raising funds, maybe taking a bank loan and then trying to start a business that will potentially cost you 1.5 CR. So that is the first and the most important factor to consider. Second, uh, a lot of people today, like we discussed, they are quitting their full-time jobs and starting up in a franchise business, or they are running a franchise business as side gig. You have to understand that it is very important that you also bring your loved ones on board with the idea. It is going to be very difficult to run a business and then every time you come home, your family is upset with you, your father, mother, your wife is upset with you because you are spending a lot of money on trying to make your business profitable. So it is, I think, one of the most important discussions and decisions that you need to make is getting a yes from your closest family circle. And thirdly, it should appeal to you. It is very, very important that the business appeals to you. And I'll give you an example. In Uclean, for example, this is the most important consideration. जो धोबी का बिजनेस है उसमें ग्लैमर बिल्कुल नहीं है. वी हैव हैड केसेस वेयर बंदे ने फ्रेंचाइज ली यूक्लीन की और उसके 15 दिन बाद वो हमसे बोल रहा है कि सर मेरे फ्रेंड ने बरिस्ता कॉफी की फ्रेंचाइज ली है. वो दिन भर रील्स बनाता रहता है. वो कभी कैपुचिनो कॉफी के ऊपर हार्ट बना रहा है, कभी वो लोगों को सिखा रहा है कि कोर्टादो कॉफी कैसे बनाते हैं, उसकी बरिस्ता बहुत सुंदर सी दिखती है. मैं किस चीज की वीडियो बनाऊं? ऑब्वियसली आप कपड़े धोने की वीडियो बना सकते हो या जूते धोने की वीडियो बना सकते हो. सो एज एन इन्वेस्टर, while you potentially can make more money from running a laundry business, or you can become more profitable in a laundry business, you can become profitable much more quickly as compared to a cafe business. But then that business, उसका इकोनॉमिक्स एक पार्ट है. क्या आप अपने आप को एक हॉबी बिजनेस चलाता हुआ देख सकते हो मेंटली या नहीं देख सकते हो? That is one question that you also need to answer. So I think while there is investment appetite, there is a buy-in that you need from your family, but very importantly, you need to figure out whether this business genuinely appeals to you or not. Otherwise, after 3 months or 4 months, once the novelty wears off, it could become very difficult to run that business.
Yes. For choosing the right business franchisee as per means it's important to identify your area of interest first. Secondly, take your family advice as well and confidence before entering into that business, because their support is more important to run a successful franchisee business. Very well taken your point, sir. My next question uh, is franchising is right for an individual, or he can start their own shop or business?
So I think there are again two parts to this answer as far as I'm concerned. One is the financial part, and the second is the personality type. Financial part, obviously, it is you are always going to end up burning more money starting up on your own than you're going to when you are taking up a franchisee of a brand, because the franchisee has already done the franchisor, the brand has already done a lot of mistakes. And when you are taking up their franchisee, they will very cleverly, very clearly help you avoid those mistakes. So your initial burn will always be relatively lesser. So either you, if you are someone who is really wants to start up, you either should be heavily self-funded, or you should be someone who has the capability to raise external funds from the market, which is what is happening a lot with the Indian startups now. Now, the second part is the where personality comes into picture. So say you are someone who has a lot of money. You want to start up, you want to franchise is what you're going to consider. But when you're franchising, you also have to understand that you are going to be eventually working under someone. So if I'm taking the franchisee of, say, McDonald's as an example, I will have to follow the guidelines. I will have to follow the standard operating procedures. I will have to potentially report my sales, my performance on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis to McDonald's. So I should be someone who is comfortable doing that. If I'm someone who is not happy with the idea of reporting to someone else or sharing my sales with someone else, or I'm someone who believes that I have taken a franchise, now everything will be done by the brand. If I'm someone with that kind of thought process also, then I'm not cut out for franchising. So while investment is one part of it, franchising helps you save a lot of money that you could have potentially burned by starting up on your own and making those expensive mistakes. But if you're not someone who likes to follow systems, procedures, you are not someone who likes to report your sales or your performance to someone above you, then you're not cut out for franchising.
Okay. So, means for running your better successful franchisee, you should need the focus on your business domain which you select. My next question is that how to start a business with a minimum investment and risk? Is franchising is the right option, or is there any other option also available?
So I think it's a rhetorical question. Uh, because if I'm talking about minimal investment, if I'm talking about minimizing my business risk, then obviously something that I've been reiterating and re-emphasizing right from the beginning of our conversation is that franchising is that model. And for the simple reason, while when you're talking about franchising, we talk a lot about the value that a franchisor potentially brings or the advantage of getting associated with the brand. But I think forget everything else. The biggest reason why somebody should take up a franchisee is because the franchisor in the past has made some very expensive mistakes. They have learned from those mistakes. They have refined their systems and processes to make sure that those mistakes are minimized. So the very simple reason is you will end up saving a lot of money if you decide to take up a franchisee because you're not going to make those mistakes. Hence, if your investment appetite is lower and you're considering between starting up in a domain or taking up a franchisee in a domain, I would always suggest taking up a franchisee is the better option.
Great. Sir, as you are also in a franchisee business, so you also heard about from your franchisee taker ki that from where they got the fund. Because I'll share my experience when I visit to the tier two, tier three cities, and so the people are asking from me that from where we get the fund. We don't have civil score, we don't have good mortgage amount with collateral with us. So how we get the fund? So what is your experience in?
So I think if you have a poor civil score and you don't have something to mortgage, then I'll be honest, getting funds might not be easy. In fact, I know that you are someone who's been working very aggressively in that direction. So I think I would also love to hear from you once I complete your answer, whether it is possible for someone with a really poor CIBIL score and nothing to mortgage to actually secure a loan. But that said, I think what I have seen, especially in the last 5, 6 years, and a lot of credit to the government for that, is that getting business loans in India has become relatively much more easy. So today, if I talk about Uclean as an example, uh, 5, 6 years back, only about 10% of my franchise partners were able to secure a loan from the bank. Today, that percentage has increased to about 40%. So 4 out of every 10 franchisees is getting a loan. It could be a PMKVY loan. It could be a Mudra loan. It could be in some states, they have very state specific loans. There are also a lot of loans for women entrepreneurs. So I think the ease with which you can take up a loan today is actually significantly improved compared to what was happening about 5, 6 years back. So I think in that sense, the ease of doing business in India, especially on the financial front and the ability to raise funds through banks has increased a lot.
No, I completely agree with you that the government of India and especially Ministry of MSME and Ministry of Commerce and Industry is work lot in this side, because the focus of Indian government is to promote the entrepreneurship in India, and especially after the COVID they are more focused on Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is launched by our the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, and the ministry is work very hard, and means all the financial institution corporates are come forward to support the MSMEs and the small investors to start their own journey through means they don't face any financial problem, any rules and regulation problem. Government provide each and every possibilities to provide the awareness about the government schemes, because the in earlier scenario the people are not aware about the government schemes. There are schemes but people are not know how to get the advantage of this that scheme, how to register for them and get the benefits. Government promote the Indian companies on the global platform as well, and they publicize Indian companies on different platforms. They organize the expo on international level and invite our Indian entrepreneur to participate over there, and like one nation, one district, one product scheme. It's promote the state and city level products on in global markets. So these kind of initiatives definitely government take for the betterment of the Indian industry. And when we heard from people like you that ease of doing business is there, we always believe that ease of doing business is there. And for that, I congratulate to our Ministry of Industry and Commerce, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, for providing the opportunity to Indian entrepreneur in the participating in the global market. And sir, for this, my from my side, last question is that profit are better than salary or wages?
So, see, as an entrepreneur, obviously, I will always have a bias towards starting up. If given the chance, I would always push everyone to start up and not to work for salary. But if I did that, then I will also not be left with anyone to work for Uclean. So I think if I can be objective, I don't think it's a fair comparison. I'm and it is important to talk about this today because suddenly entrepreneurship has become very glamorous. People love calling themselves founders, CEOs on LinkedIn, on Instagram, love to make reels saying that I am doing this, I am doing that. And a lot of it is because it gives you a lot of social validation. Your peers and friends have started looking up to you if you call yourself an entrepreneur. But unfortunate fact is that once you scratch the surface, once the glamour dies down, once the first few months are over, and then you start realizing the truth starts hitting you that you're responsible for the salaries of X people. You have to generate this much business every month. You have to ensure that cash flow is happening. And then it can be a very painful exercise. So I think while starting up is fabulous, but it is important to understand that you should not start up just for the sake of starting up. So just for calling yourself an entrepreneur on LinkedIn or Facebook, it doesn't make a lot of sense. In fact, there are some fabulous jobs, even at Uclean. There are some people that are doing fantastic jobs. They are doing jobs that are they're executing it much better than even I can possibly execute. So I think if you have to learn, if you have to break the ceiling, if you have to achieve, then you can also do it as an employee. So the idea should never be to compare entrepreneurship with salaried job. Both have their own benefits, both have their own challenges. And I think a personality type would be a big guidance to whether you should get into a job or whether you should start up.
No, I completely agree with you. And in current scenario, the startups and the young entrepreneur who run the business empire, they have the different mindset in running the business. They take the their colleagues as their partner, not the employee. They don't rule on them. They give them freedom. You just suggest us how we can grow. They take the ideas, take the feedback from them for improving. They're not posing their own decision to them. So in that way, the employees also know their sense of responsibilities, on which post he is as sit, and what are the responsibilities of that seat. Means, if I'm talking about in your Uclean, if someone is looking for the marketing part, so he know his responsibilities, how the marketing is important for Uclean right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so the scenario is changed. So means, and everyone want to don't have the vision to be an entrepreneur, but those are having the vision, they must be learned from the new entrepreneurs, new startups, young business empire holders, how they run their business.
True, very true.
So, sir, before taking the audience question, I would like to ask three tips from you for the young startups or MSMEs, those want to grow their business rapidly. So, means for franchising point of view. So, please give your three bullet point for them.
Sure. So I think one, obviously, franchise only if your business is franchisable. I have seen some disastrous franchising in the past where companies that were into SaaS business, they tried to create stupid franchise models and they failed very badly. Not only did the brands go down the drain, they also ended up eroding a lot of money of the investors that had taken up their franchisee. So it is very, very important to first figure out whether your business is franchisable in the first place or not, or whether you should use franchising as a tool to scale your business or not. Second, I would always say take up franchising only if it is one of the most important channels for your growth. So there is a sudden propensity where there are brands that I have seen that want to explore every possible channel for growth. And franchising just happens to be one of the channels. This is a sure shot recipe for failure because franchising demands a lot of time and energy commitment from the founder. Every franchisee partner of yours, he wants you to be available. He wants to reach out to you. Today, I am added on more than 500 WhatsApp groups of Uclean, almost 600 WhatsApp groups of Uclean I'm added. I am accessible to every franchise partner. So this is very important that if you are getting into franchising, make sure that the franchising is one of the most important growth channels that you're looking at. And third, while it is very tempting to get into franchising, it gives you a lot of high, especially to your sales team when you're selling a franchisee. But before you start selling, make sure that you are franchise ready. Make sure you have the systems, processes, technology in place before you start giving out franchises.
Okay. And sir, now five bullet point for the individuals, those are looking for the business opportunity in franchising business.
Okay. तो फर्स्ट एडवाइस सिमिलर है आपके पास ये अंडरस्टैंड करना इंपॉर्टेंट है दैट दिस कैन नॉट जस्ट बी अ साइड बिजनेस सो इंडिया में देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टर्स वन दैट कम विद एन इन्वेस्टर माइंडसेट द सेकंड दैट कम विद एन ऑपरेटर माइंडसेट फ्रेंचाइजिंग में यू नीड पीपल विद ऑपरेटर माइंडसेट बिकॉज आपका बिजनेस में आपको टाइम देना पड़ेगा सो रिगार्डलेस ऑफ विच फ्रेंचाइजी बिजनेस यू आर टेकिंग while it could potentially be a side gig, but still I would never advise that you are sitting in London and running a franchisee in Patna. That will never work out. So it is important that you or your family member should be there. They should be able to carve out some time and spend some time at the franchisee, keep understanding the challenges on day-to-day basis, be available to your brand, to your franchise partner, to your franchisor, so that they can solve the business together. Second is always choose a franchisee that suits your personality type. So if I am someone who's looking for glamour, then I will never take up a Thobi franchise. I'll never become a franchisee of Uclean. If I'm someone who's money minded, who wants to see daily cash flow, then Uclean might be a perfect fit. Third is do your research. So unfortunately, India right now, when it comes to franchising, is in the growth stage. We are still a developing country as far as franchising is concerned. And there is always this challenge that there are a lot of fly by night operators. रातों रात brand create होते हैं, 10 franchisee बेचते हैं और फिर धरती से गायब हो जाते हैं. So it is very, very important to understand and do some research of the franchisor before you take up their franchisee. Fourth, try and speak to their existing franchisees as well to understand क्या क्या challenges आ सकते हैं, क्या क्या benefits हैं, क्या क्या disadvantages हैं. You can always learn better from people who are already doing it. Rather than doing a lot of online research, you should actually try and speak to their existing partners and then take an informed decision based on the information you're receiving. Fifth, learn to filter. So you will hear a lot of noise. When you're trying to take up a franchisee, you will speak to their franchise partners, you will do research, you will speak to competitors, and you will get a lot of information which will create and cloud your mind. So try and figure out what part of that information is necessary and what is redundant. Only take a decision based on the information that is necessary.
Okay. So now I'll start the questions from the audience which I received. First question received from an IT professional, and he is saying that from where he got the mentorship guidance.
So where I got mentorship.
From no, you means you from the question is the same. Yes, from where you got the mentorship for the franchising.
So I think one advantage of living in today's world is that it's a very digitally connected world. Google is the most powerful tool that this world has today. And there's a lot of information that is available on the internet. So I would always suggest if you are wanting to get into franchising, either you want to franchise your brand or you want to take up the franchise of an existing brand, first thing that you should do is you should, your first and the most important mentor is Google. So do as much research, as much search on Google to know your brand or know the franchisee better. And then I would also suggest that in India, one good thing that has happened is with the evolution of the franchising industry, a lot of franchise consulting has evolved, especially companies like Franchise India, who are very good at hand-holding people during their franchising journey. So while there would obviously be a consulting cost, but I think that cost is worth paying for. So I would strongly recommend that once you've done your internal research, always speak to a qualified franchisee consultant. You can Google and you can find out who are the reputed franchise consultants in the country. And even if they're charging you whatever amount that might be, you should subscribe to their services because in the longer run, they will help you save a lot of money.
Sure. And my next question comes from the one manufacturing MSME side. He is saying that I'm in a manufacturing product. So can I also enter into the franchising model?
So I think I'm not the best advisor. I primarily worked in the service industry, but I think while I'll give an example, there's a company called Atomberg, which is into fans and has become very, very popular recently. And they have grown very fast through distributorship. So I don't know whether you will call distributorship a bigger part of franchising or not. But I think, especially when you talk about the manufacturing industry, and Atomberg is just one example, I think distributorship is one way to actually build your brand, which overall is very similar to franchising.
Similar to franchising, yes. And next question is how much money required for the start basic franchisee minimum?
This is I think there are brands that also give out franchisee for 50. So if there are brands that offer consulting franchisee. So they themselves are consultants and then they award consultants under them. So I think when you're talking about an asset-light business like consulting, which technically doesn't require anything, all you need is an office space and maybe chairs and table, or maybe you don't even need that. If it's a consultant who actually travels to client location. So I think there the only fees that you're going to pay is the franchisee fee. And I'm very sure all depends on which industry you want to get into. But I think consulting businesses franchisee starts as low as 1 lakh rupees.
And how do you make your final franchise selection? I think we have already answered this in our earlier discussion. And as per I recall, the sir is said first is the area of interest before choosing any franchisee. Second one, allow your pocket, check your pocket, how much investment capabilities you have. Second one, the location is matter, on which location you are searching for the franchisee business, and select the business options from that. And any other points, sir, you would like to add in this selection criteria for an investor?
I think, and I think I actually missed it. You actually mentioned a very valid point, which is location is very important. So, for example, if I'm starting a franchisee or I want to start a franchisee in a small town India, a brand like Gucci or Prada might not be the right franchisee for me. So, I think that's a very, very valid observation that you made.
Okay. And I'll take one more question because we are already exceeding our time, I guess. So the next question is, successful business entrepreneur in franchising can also run a successful franchisee as well. Uh, I think he want to trying to say that maybe they can opt to 2 3 franchisee at one at the same time. Maybe I guess he won't like to know.
So I think the answer is absolutely yes. I, for example, personally have this bucket list, a long-standing dream that I want to, at some point in time, have the franchisee of Starbucks. And I think I'll be a good franchisee because I understand how franchising works. I would say I understand how franchising works much better than a lot of people who have not done franchising in the past. So for Starbucks also, I would be a good fit. So similarly, if there is someone who already has one franchisee, he understands how franchising works. He understands what he should expect from a brand and what all he will have to bring to the table. So in that sense, if he's running one franchisee successful, I think the probability that he will make his other franchisees successful is also much more higher.
Last question, sir. It's directly from you for you. How you get an idea to start franchising?
So I have always believed uh, that franchising flows in my blood. I have been doing franchising since 14, 15 years, and my total work experience is about 17, 18 years. So about 90% of that has been spent in the franchising industry. And initially, I was also a franchise consultant. I created a brand called Frank Global. We used to help Indian brands go international and international brands come into India. And I think that is where I developed a taste and flavor for franchising. And I'll be honest, uh, when we were just starting Uclean, when we were in the process of designing the logo and the brand name of Uclean, that time itself, I had made up my mind that at some point in time, in some form, we will franchise Uclean.
Great, sir. So, sir, now as we are on the end side of our session discussion, so if anyone would like to take the franchisee of Uclean, so could you please suggest me how they can proceed further and what are the advantages of Uclean franchisee?
So I think again, I'll go back a couple of steps. And the first thing that I would always want a potential investor or a potential franchise prospect to ask himself is, क्या मैं अपने आप को अगले 5 साल तक धोबी वाला बिजनेस करता देख सकता हूँ कि नहीं? So that is the most important question. And ये एक ऐसा सवाल है जो आप सिर्फ खुद से ना पूछो, आप अपनी फैमिली से, अपने फ्रेंड सर्कल से पूछो कि क्या आप लोग कंफर्टेबल होंगे अगर मैं धोबी का बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ या आप मुझे मेरा बहिष्कार करेंगे, which happens because the dhobi as per Indian caste system has been treated as a lower caste. So it is very important कि आप और आपकी जो immediate family है they should be very comfortable saying that or announcing to the world that they are running Uclean, which is predominantly a modern dhobi kind of a business. अगर आपका आंसर यस होता है कि यहाँ पर आपके फैमिली मेंबर कंफर्टेबल हो, आपको कैश फ्लो दिख रहा है, आपको ग्लैमर में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, then the idea is that this is a very hyper local kind of a business. So ये mall या high street का business नहीं है. This is a business that typically runs well in the neighborhood markets. एंड आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट एपेटाइट 20 से 25 लाख की होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज इनिशियल सेटअप और वर्किंग कैपिटल मिला के आपको इतना खर्चा आने वाला है. प्लस आपको हम टीम बनाकर देते हैं, बट आई वुड ऑलवेज सजेस्ट इज कि एटलीस्ट आप एक बंदा अपना भी दें. जैसे जनरली क्या होता है, लोगों के घर में ड्राइवर्स हैं, मेड्स हैं, उनके बेटों को सेटल करना है, उनको आप ट्रस्ट करते हो. सो एटलीस्ट हैव वन पर्सन दैट कैन बी ट्रेन्ड बाय अस, एंड देन द रेस्ट ऑफ द मैन पावर वुड बी प्रोवाइडेड बाय अस. Very important to understand that it is a franchisee owned, franchisee operated model. तो ये बिजनेस आपका है, इसको आप लीड करने वाले हो, और आप इसको ट्रीट करो एज अ 75-25 बिजनेस. 75% ये आपका एफर्ट रहेगा, 25% ये ब्रांड का एफर्ट रहेगा. आप अगर 75% नहीं डालोगे तो मैं 25% डालकर भी आपको सक्सेसफुल नहीं बना सकता. So this is very, very important criteria that every prospect needs to understand, that this is while आपको दिन भर स्टोर पे नहीं रहना है, लेकिन आपको अपना इंटरफेरेंस, अपना इंटरवेंशन, अपना इन्वॉल्वमेंट रखना है, ताकि स्टोर की टीम मोटिवेटेड रहे, स्टोर की टीम को भी लगे दैट यू केयर अबाउट योर बिजनेस.
Great, sir. Thanks for taking out your time for today's session, and we definitely interact many more time in future as well.
Thank you so much, Akshat ji. Lovely speaking on the ISFA platform today.
And thank you, audience, for joining us today for this session. And all thank you to all our live audience also who is seen us on our platform. Thank you. And we are ending for today. And we will our next session is on next Monday on same time 3 to 4 p.m. on and this session is on the MSME schemes, and our expert is highlighting the government schemes which are available for you to start your business, to taking the new franchisee for your and your loved ones, and get the money from your startups and MSME business. Okay.